The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time Jesus exclaimed, I give praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the childlike. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I'm sure we're all familiar with this line. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son. We've heard it before, but if you're really, kind of like ponder that a little bit, there's a lot of kind of mystery going on there, and there's a lot of depth to what our Lord is saying there. And I don't have it in a box at all, but I think one little stab at it is really, it speaks of the nature of the Trinity, that really a father can't exist unless there's a son or a daughter, but unless there's a child, right? You can't be a father without a child. It just doesn't exist. You can't be a son without a father, right? The two need each other. So the relationship between the Father and the Son, it's intrinsic. It is. And it's not even just that on this kind of logical level, but this understanding that Jesus' identity lies in him being a son of the Father. That's who he is. So he can say, no one knows the Father except the Son. Right? It's the only way you can actually know a father is to be a son, right? And no one knows the Son except the Father. So I mean, just this is who Jesus is bound up in this relationship with his Father. That's deep and real, but he invites us into that as well. And so then he says, no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. All right, that's where we come into this, right? It's through our baptism into the Son that we can now know the Father, okay? And this is huge because it's not just this intellectual knowledge of who God is, but this experiential, relational knowledge. I know the Father as my dad. This is what the Lord's inviting us to, and it's what we're incorporated into through our baptism. We're just de facto sons in the Son, all right? We call this sonship. So I always say the frequency of the Father is sonship. If we want to hear the Father speak to us, it's through the Son, the sonship that we're incorporated into. So I don't want to drown this out, but it all kind of speaks to this childlike relationship that Jesus is inviting us into. He says, I give you praise, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the childlike. It's in this childlike relationship that we come to know God as our Father. It's true, but it's in living out of that we come to know him. Moses highlights it. He gives us a glimpse of it in our first reading where he approaches the burning bush, right? He's really getting close to God. And how does God call out to him? He says, Moses, Moses, and he goes on and say, come no closer, you're holy ground kind of thing. But he calls him by name. And that's a relational knowledge that God has with him. He calls him by name. So same with you and I. Because of our sonship being incorporated into the Son in our baptism, God now calls us by name. This is how we know him, as Father and beloved son or daughter in the Son. It's just important. God is not some distant intellectual figure. He's our dad. He loves us and knows us as his beloved children in his Son, Jesus Christ. So just like Jesus' truest identity was in his sonship, in relationship with his Father, so now you and I's truest identity lies in our sonship, in our relationship with God, our Father.